Welcome back, everybody. Today's trial day, and I'm ready. I'm feeling ready. I think I'm ready. I'm looking ready, and I took my steroids for this one. So. You might be wondering why I didn't post tomorrow, but it's such a long story. It's like, you know, my dog ate my phone, and then I had to kill it and take out the phone. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go to the album. So let's see if he win or not. I'm probably gonna win because, you know, we're the protagonist. So let's see. Alright. Do you hear her? No one on this. Okay, some people are here.
The whole situation is so confusing. Good plan. Impossible.
Okay.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stand. Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened than...
Thanks, Navia.
Best of luck to you.
Okay.
Finally, you're back.
Yeah.
Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest,
Terrible.
you might be disappointed.
Yeah.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Yeah.
Well, now, don't you all look disappointed. Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed.
I hate
That
her, bro.
was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their
Saw
innocence.
memes of a foreigner. It was like a person has two sides. It's just foreigner has like
Don't
stupid
let
on
that
both.
stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede.
Since both parties are present,
Okay.
I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is firstly,
Okay.
in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain
Okay.
the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Okay. Alright.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that, you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution, Lady Farina.
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open.
Alright.
Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no
Okay.
way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
Okay.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Okay.
Is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you
Okay.
didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave in a...
No, nothing.
I see.
Oh god.
But when the count reached 30
This is
seconds
the
or
lowest
so,
tech
there was a
Archon I'll
thud.
have to see.
One...
Huh?
Hey, hang on.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Okay.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then,
Oh, that's the
ladies and
orchestra.
gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundation... Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
Here for two.
No wonder they did something like.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an act.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
What? Oh, so they are?
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now.
Okay, maybe she might not be that
The
stupid.
Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord. Oh, good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Hey, Lenny, why didn't you tell us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to reestablish the facts. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Miss
Okay.
Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true?
There's no doubt the magician is a con, but given that Lenny is concealing his identity, this could be. Plus Char and here along with others, house operatives. There must be some scheme that would work. I've been a victim of such before.
Please answer my question.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, You're up.
I knew it.
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing.
What should we do now?
Granted.
Okay.
In that case, what is your request?
I request a brief fortress.
Is that really necessary? They're already as good.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This-
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after... In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to...
What do we gotta do now? So what's the deal?
This is awkward. I didn't think the Hydra. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hyman just knew where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you not to set the wrong tone or anything. But
Okay.
Hyman's really mad.
I'm very sorry. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the words is enough to make you upset. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities.
Right now, we want to
Okay.
save people.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could be... That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead. The truth is very
Okay.
important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So,
Yeah.
you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point. You met a Fatus who works as a magician,
Okay.
a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me.
Sorry. Please forgive.
Well,
Okay.
you both say that, but
Where did you actually go wrong?
right. Let's hear your answer first.
Of course, I'll answer any question. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our
It
investigations,
seems that
we
he
learned
might
that the
be-
machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room, and which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just...
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized Christ.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of... But, like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust...
Well, Traveler,
Okay.
you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
I believe in fact. I wish there was more alternative choices where I can not trust.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us a
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense. Huh?
Which we head to the Opera Chamber. File. Voices.
Paimon's starting to feel a little tired from all our adventuring. It's because we're always on the road. Paimon's
Let's continue.
Huh. Since we're not too busy at the moment, why don't we visit the...
We're not too busy. What?
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating...
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend at this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective.
Okay. Based on the position account, you can identify a loophole in that statement. Use the clues that obtained during the investigation to refute these enormous assertions of the fact, replace them with new interference. Use the refusion to convince the audience that the universe are whole and new. When you find they refute all incorrect content, then you complete the cycle of refuting and unveil the truth.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel.
Okay.
When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the... He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands before operating the device. And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Linney experienced.
Okay. Wait. What is... Can I hear it again?
Seems this won't produce a particularly effective rebuttal.
Okay. Maybe this. So why should you do this?
According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He... Linny went... Linny did not take part in the underground altercation.
Okay.
He only witnessed traces of the after...
Attention! Ace detect. When the countdown started, Lenny did, but he immediately used a vent to access the opera house. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. The crime scene had already developed. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view.
Yes. Well, success. That wasn't that hard, was it?
I did it!
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing.
That's right!
Yeah.
My reasoning?
On stage equipment was clearly tampered with at home.
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't, and assuming that what you say is true, Lenny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case.
Yeah.
What would the...
They have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed... Oh, well, your denial is very strident. I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? You're saying that he wasn't.
You claim. The missing Lady Helen. Wait, what was it? During this search, there was no audible thump. No one left the opera house during the magic show after an instance.
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought?
This?
That's right! This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already entered. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best.
Well played. To think you'd use such luck. Well then, if it wasn't Lenny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Select your icon and then the corresponding case. Select the answer and fill the empty gear with the work. Verify the correctness of your deduction. If you make a mistake, you must make another option. Once you make all the counts clear, collect the request. The guard's investigation report indicates that the fireball released in the end of the show ignited the burn through the ropes in the water tank above the stage. This caused the water tank to keep glowing till Cowley. If Lenny is no longer under the succession, only the other members of the crew would have known and able to trample the throne. Lenny has gave details of account and how the trick was supposed to work by the box using inside the box. The idea was that box was containing a knowledge chamber to transport across the tunnel underneath. Rie himself would be able to use the tunnel on the other side. Having changed her outfit, Leonard and her assistant would have taken the charge on the stage interaction. Clothes belonged to Haley, lady who went missing, were found in the tunnel region. Wait, it might be him.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant.
Oh, so it was him?
That can't be right. The killer?
Oh, is that?
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances, so where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lenny as well. Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a... Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny... Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. No one entered or left the opera. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing The deceased's name is Cowell. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there no one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that.
Oh my god.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between them. The deceased's name is Cowell. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave... Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment.
Okay.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able... No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So where would the criminal have wanted... Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel.
Noise.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is. So this was all
But it's
just a
been
bluff.
how died.
And here I...
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have...
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real-life person disappear.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample The sound we heard may have come from a clap. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water. It would have been tough for both people to... No one entered or left the opera house. The vase was not broken by chance.
Okay, so hypothesis was correct. It's used by water. I was right.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person...
Just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick. Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already... Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about 2 completely different things.
Even so, I trust the traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to... Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on it, but given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would...
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled... The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
Didn't they investigate that before this?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of... As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's...
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if... Just a minute. Could that mean... You two...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partner?
Let's go. Just...
Order!
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising... Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit Guards. Please continue examining the... Mr. Linney. It appears your hypothesis is supported by the...
Of course. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected to...
Right! Like the metal hood! That one didn't make sense. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that.
A liquid unlaunched. Okay, well.
Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick. The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. As such, the focus here is on the water and not the tank. The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey entered the magic box. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time.
Okay.
Did she have something to do with this? I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box. The deceased's name is Cap. I remember there was something else within the...
Two are right.
The rope that held the water tank up was lit. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. The deceased's name is Cowell. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another mat.
Okay.
It's in the original plan. Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope, and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box.
Okay.
When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his track.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of them work.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal...
What?
That can't be.
Oh, God.
Does this not clear, my dear citizens?
Well, I'm going at it again.
Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowell then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his part. Ultimately, he knocked Cowell out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and... Am I right, Mr. Lynn?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Wait, what? Wait, can we not?
Oh no!
Did we lose?
I can't think of any. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now. I believe this is indeed... Now then, my good noble... Excuse me, everyone, but I'm...
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh. Right before your very... What in...
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it?
Okay.
It often conceals the truth, but once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them? And wouldn't such a trick be the most Come on, Lenny and Lynette. Give it another go. But as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I understand.
Okay. So let's see what is about to happen.
And voila.
What the f-
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified,